Have you guys ever really looked at a fork?
Kinda. Why?
Well, I was like putting away like the dishwasher earlier this weekend, and I got to looking at the forks, and I just realized how weird they look. Forks just look kind of weird.
Not me over here
I don't know.
googling forks.
Like take a look at a fork, and then just like actually
No,
like
I
look
don't.
at it, like really look at the shape and like what it's doing. Look at it like
I should.
straight on.
I should have known better. I googled forks and it brought up Forks, Washington, aka the town that Twilight is set in. Fun fact:
Well, you know,
that was picked for the town for to be the setting for those books because that is the city where it rains the most in the U.S.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Joe, what do you
Anyway,
think?
I don't know, man. They're forks.
But
this is
have
the
you
Fork
looked at
Racers
one?
podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked at a fork before. I look at a fork when I unload the dishwasher, like you pointed out.
Do you look at it though? Like, do you look at it? Because yeah, you may see it, but you don't. You're not.
Yeah, I
looking
guess
at
I
it,
only
you know what
see
mean?
it. I guess I don't look at it. I guess I'll have to add that to my itinerary for the week. Let's look at forks, not
I don't know,
just
it's
see
something
them.
I was thinking about. 'Cause I
Viewers,
just
what do you
remembered
guys
it
think
today.
about forks? Let us know in the comments.
Let us know in the comments what you think about forks, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at one first, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't just see it. Look at it.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay. This is Fake Racers Podcast. I'm Joe.
I'm Davey,
I'm Matthew.
and I'm Davey.
And I'm Joe. And we're so glad you're joining us here this week. After Darlington, the NASCAR playoff field for the Cup Series is finally set in ink, not in pencil.
Ooh.
Which is a good thing we used ink because Chase Briscoe had a stellar run, average running position of 3.5, I believe, throughout the course of the race, which is his second best. His only better average running position during a race was 2022 when he won at Phoenix. But Briscoe gets a big win, not only for him, not only for the 14 team, but for all of SHR. Yeah, fire away.
Big win for that organization.
Yep.
You could tell. It's not like it's not very often that you can tell just how much a win means for every crew member and every person there. I mean, every single crew member, specifically in the 14 team, they all looked almost relieved. Honestly, like it's just probably been the most grueling, long, disheartening season for them. And to reap the rewards of a huge win at a crown jewel event at Darlington, where it probably means almost the most. Yeah, I can't imagine that that's a feeling that'll be matched for them anytime soon. And Chase went out; he like really earned it. All the SHR cars were kind of on. I noticed, just despite some of the silliness that a couple of the other SHR cars got up to during the race. They were all fast. Priest ended up finishing just outside the top 10, and
Barry
was
was
running
inside
well.
the top 10 most of the night.
Yep.
Noah Gragson was in the 20s. And
Yeah, but,
didn't have
you
a
know.
brake pedal, but
Yeah, I was gonna say he must have been destined to have a rough night or something, man. Maybe
it was written in
maybe
the
he
stars.
maybe he also ate what Tyler Reddick ate. But yeah, just really big win for Chase Briscoe. I'm not like a big Chase Briscoe fan. It doesn't really matter to me in that sense, but as far as what that win means to him and that organization, I think it's very cool. And I'm glad if anyone was going to get that win in that last little spot, that one last shot to get into the playoffs, it's cool that it was him and that organization.
Yeah, and it reminds me a lot of the the team reaction after their first win with Tony Stewart, where they talked about like these guys have all been doing this for like a decade and they've never been to victory lane. And you think about just how down in the dumps SHR has been for the last 3-4 years. And they've been knocking on the door. Josh Berry at Daytona is a prime example of they've really been really close to winning this year. And if this is the final Stewart-Haas win, like this is a great one to go out on because it's the team's original car. It's Tony Stewart's guy, sending him out, more than likely. So, and if we're gonna, obviously we'll talk more playoffs later, but like Chase hung in the playoff hunt all season and was hovering around the like 12th to 15th range for a good part of the year. So this isn't, I feel like it's not going to have the same kind of discussion like we had last week with Harrison, where like this was a team that was a playoff contender all season, and they were really knocking on the door to finally breaking through.
Yeah, I think they kind of fell out of the pointing in hunt, several weeks ago, probably around like maybe July or whatever. But they always were kind of right there, kind of keeping tab. I mean, they were 18th or 17th.
17th. They ended up 17th.
Ended up 17th in the regular season points. So, like, I mean, yeah, they're not, the worst team. They're
of the bunch.
Anyway, you said it best. It's not like Harrison Burton.
Yeah. And while we're talking about this, I do want to talk about that last stint. First off, like how Briscoe got the lead. Just awesome. Because you have Chastain staying out late on that second to last caution, and while Larson was trying to get by him, Briscoe just dive bombed him 2 or 3 wide, cleared them both into turn 3, and then just ran away. And then you had Kyle Busch charging through the field at the end, and there was a really funny moment, which again we'll talk about more in probably later when we do more playoff speculation. But Kyle Busch ran down Kyle Larson for, I want to say, second, and Larson just waved him by, basically. Was like, I want no part of this right now because I know you're on a mission and has no bearing on me. And Kyle got so close to catching him, but like that final battle was what NASCAR has always wanted with this playoff format, which is 2 guys right on the cut line in win-in situations. Super clean battle. Kyle could have stuffed him in the fence and didn't, unlike somebody. And so it's just an all-around great race. Yeah.
And that rocked. I mean, that's that kind of stuff is Darlington at its best as well. And while I did kind of miss having Daytona as the regular season ender, I could not be more satisfied with how this went, because that was phenomenal racing. Darlington at its best. Darlington, probably the greatest oval track in the world, in my opinion. Don't at me. I don't need your opinions right now. I just know that mine's right. Darlington, wheelbarrows could put on a good race at Darlington.
Yep. Thank you for the correct pronunciation. Okay, should Darlington be the cutoff race every year? Just yes or no. I don't need an explanation.
No, they shouldn't.
And
I don't know if I have an answer for that.
I think it deserves to be the playoff opener.
Yeah, I can get down with that. Yeah.
I think the way it was last season was good.
Okay.
Because it'll make for a good race no matter what, and I think this is if you want to make playoffs kind of feel like that, like the final test of the drivers, having Darlington open it up, one of the toughest races on the schedule. Yeah, that works for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
But other sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say other moments during the race. Is that what you were gonna say?
Yeah, other notable things of
Truex doesn't know wheel. He bended on lap 2. iRacing overcorrected into Ryan Blaney, so that also kind of hurt Blaney's playoff points getting for the night.
I love the optics of that incident, because here you have the Southern 500. This is the race where the veterans come out to play, and they sit there and they make their point like, hey, we may be 30, 40 some odd years old, but this is our place. This is where we go to. This is our joint, our race. We do this. And then the most tenured driver in the field wrecks it on lap 3. Great optics. As a Truex hater, very funny. As a Blaney fan, that was not as funny. And really, like he ended up fine, ended up being okay. But I mean, it could have cost him his playoff spot. That could have been huge implications for his season, his farewell season at that.
Only Bubba or Buescher could have got more stage points. Speaking of Buescher, hit a little fun there with Todd.
Yeah, I'm not rocking with that one.
You think he right-reared him?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I fully like. Or I wouldn't say, I'm not going to say you're wrong. Just Chris Buescher to me is the type of driver that is. I think you can give the benefit of the doubt to because he doesn't necessarily have a history of being overly aggressive. To me, it looked like he just bounced off the wall and was behind on steering, trying to not run into the fence and hooked him. I can't make a definitive call either way, but yeah, it's not a good look either way.
I mean, watching the onboard, at least in my opinion, I thought watching the onboard made it look obvious because it's not like he bounced off the wall and then bounced into Todd Gilliland. He hit the wall and then was moving down the racetrack and turned Todd Gilliland and went almost to the apron. Like, it was a bit much for me. And it's lucky that he hit the wall because you now have a pretty good excuse for it. I don't know. I didn't look good to me. I came out of that race with less respect for him because that, in my opinion, was a definitive right rearing. And, you know, Chris Buescher, yeah, it's not in his, you know, history to do stuff like that. But we've never seen him be that desperate. So who knows? It was a frustrating moment in the race for him where it wasn't looking very good for him. He was kind of like that was kind of like the climax of that story almost. And just, I don't know. I didn't like it. I'm not rocking with it. You can make your own opinion. In my opinion, the replay, he hits the wall. No car in racing, by the way, when you hit the wall is going to move like half a lane down after, like on corner exit. Like he gets stuffed in the fence. He's not getting stuffed in the fence and then like it's a trampoline. Like, he's in the fence and then he has to move down and he decides to move down and chases Todd Gilliland down the racetrack, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I have a hard time calling it either way, but yeah, I totally see where you're coming from.
Later on, there was a big one.
Joe?
What?
Do you just not have any opinions on this weekend?
What? I'm hosting.
What? What?
I'm hosting.
You're hosting.
I'm hosting.
I
don't know.
Have to say sometimes.
Sometimes.
You toss an opinion out here. Surprise me.
Huh? I don't think he right reared him. I think I'm more in Matt's camp. He either got behind on the steering or he was trying to pull it off the wall. I don't think he cared what happened to Todd in that moment. If that makes.
That's the most I'll give. That's the most I'll concede is that he didn't care if he wrecked him. But in my opinion, he chased him.
So, yeah, I don't know. Big one with Bubba Wallace involved in it. They kind of got behind on the tires, sent him back, then had a bad pit stop. Sent him back and
Color me surprised. 2311.
Got run into the back of
Noah Gragson, who, as I mentioned earlier,
forgot,
didn't know that there's a brake pedal,
which is fine. It's okay, I guess. But yeah, this was like minutes after they were interviewing Michael Jordan, which I thought was really cool. That they actually were talking to him and stuff, and he's just chilling on the pit wall.
Yep.
Real quick, that's just cool that you have dignitaries from other sports at your races and owning your teams. It's cool. NASCAR. Remember that? And it spoiled what was a decent night for Wallace. Obviously qualified on pole, but they were behind. They fell behind on the setup.
Yeah, I was kind of paying attention a little bit to it because, you know, he kind of needed that night to be a really good night. And I heard them saying on the radio they want to tighten the car up, and it sounded like on the first stop they tightened it up too much, and they were just never really able to get that out, it felt like. And it feels like maybe they made the wrong adjustment, or maybe they made too far of an adjustment. The track changed because it's Darlington, and Darlington changes faster than any other track we have on the schedule. And they just stayed behind. Like, I don't know. I like, without that wreck, I don't think Bubba gets into the playoffs, but, you know, you never know what kind of situation occurs, or maybe he can grab tires on another caution, and, you know, it definitely was the killer.
Yeah.
Do what Kyle Busch did, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was such a bummer, too, that it had to end that way, because for what it's worth, like, adjustment problems aside, like they did everything they had to do. They showed up and performed and like had Chris Buescher on the ropes basically. And if obviously Chase Briscoe winning throws a whole wrench into that, but if even in that case, if they don't get wrecked, he can still make up points and catch Truex because they were not that far behind Truex. Because
I do think that actually Truex clinched after stage 2.
He did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was watching the race like
was
on
that
my phone
close.
with no audio, so I didn't know that part. But yeah,
Literally,
but yeah, it was still
Chris
coming
Buescher
down to the
needed-
end.
Yeah, Chris Buescher needed a stage point for Truex not to clinch, and I think he did. Like he finished 13th or something in the stage.
Ah, God,
But it was very close.
But yeah, it sucks that it obviously, and a lot of guys like you mentioned, Josh Berry had a great night all night. That came to an end. Another summer of misery for William Byron because he's involved in that wreck too.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Talk about a guy with absolutely no. We just want to move on to like our notable playoff people.
No momentum.
William Byron, no momentum, negative momentum.
It's the same thing they did last year too. Like they went completely AWOL throughout the summer, and then when the playoffs started, they were just like, "All right, I guess we're trying again."
Oh right, we have a job to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This season seems like it's worse than last season, but
Yeah, they have been pretty invisible. If we're talking no momentum though, it's got to be Truex because look at the lead they blew over how many weeks? Truex was top 3 or 4 in points and then ended up making the playoffs by like 10 points. Like they blew a like 70 point advantage.
There's a stat, I think one top 10 since like late June or something like that.
Dover.
Yeah.
Let's look at
Unbelievable.
this.
Or no.
I mean, it's the same thing they did in the playoffs
he
last year
finished
too.
top 5 at Sonoma, probably, because he was up there at the end, or did something happen at Sonoma?
Let's
can't
see.
remember.
Okay,
So yeah, it would be late June.
since Dover, we're talking about
Since June,
Okay.
let's say, since Sonoma.
Sonoma. So Sonoma, they finished 27th.
Okay, never mind. I guess since Dover in
Not
June.
Sonoma.
Well, because he was running like 3rd and then ran out of gas off
That's
the
what
final
it was.
corner.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
You're right.
And that was immediately after a 34th at Gateway, a 15th at Iowa, a 9th at New Hampshire, and then 24 at Nashville, 33 at Chicago, 8th at Pocono, 27, 37, 24, 24, 36.
Oh my
So-
God.
Yeah. I mean, that was 5 races. After Pocono, they were at least 80 points clear of the cut line.
Oh
Just
my
insane.
God. Yeah. That's definitely someone who is going to be like just I could almost pencil him in as a first round exit the way he's been performing.
Some other notables, obviously, Ross Chastain does not make the playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah. Another disastrous few weeks that they went from sitting pretty comfortable, and then you look at, Michigan losing that lap right at the end, and then they wrecked last week, and then took a swing at it this week, and it just didn't pay off.
Yeah. I mean
So.
they really did everything they could because Ross he did not look like he had decent speed at all most of the night, and he ended up finishing well. Obviously, it was never going to be enough, but he ended up finishing pretty well. I think there's just more proof that there's a solid chunk of guys who I think can kind of pull off like the little upsets in the playoffs here, win as a non-playoff driver, Ross being one of them, Bubba being one of them, Chris Buescher being one of them, Kyle Busch potentially.
With the momentum they have right now, I would put money on Kyle Busch winning one at this rate.
Oh, yeah.
And those are kind of the 4 notables that don't make the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, talk about Ross. I mean, he's probably the guy that has the 3rd most merch at the racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's up there. Yeah.
So that's disappointing for Trackhouse, I'm sure. Obviously, you talk about Bubba. His teammate won the regular season Drivers' Championship.
Yeah, that's got to be a bummer.
Buescher won 3 races, was inside the top 10, top 12 in points all season. Post-race interview, made some comments about the playoff format. Whatever.
There
And
are
Kyle
interesting
Busch.
things. Oh, God. Sorry.
Kyle Busch, just disaster of a season. Too little, too late.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure.
With Busher, the thing that everybody's been pointing out was if he wins Kansas, he loses that race by 1/1000th of a second, he's in.
Mm-hmm.
Like literal inches. And then Darlington's the other one, which, Brad was in on points, he was going to be safe. But if that race doesn't go south, even if he doesn't win that, he's in,
Yep.
Right.
It is really crazy to think how, you can pick small things out. And like you mentioned with Tyler Reddick, he wins the regular season championship by a point over Larson. And I mentioned earlier, Larson just waving Kyle Busch by basically at the end of the race. Obviously, Kyle was probably going to get back by him, but you think about that and damn, we'd be about 10 or 15 points better in the playoff standings right now if that doesn't happen. Or, anything that happened throughout the entire season goes differently.
If Larson just, showed up to the Coke 600.
Yeah, if he starts that
and,
race.
and blew up lap 1.
Yeah.
Would have won. Yep. With that being said, the 5 team, of course, still wins the owners' regular season championship.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, with the way the charter agreement works, it is all about the owners' playoffs for money and payouts. So,
yeah.
But that's not what we talk about on TV, so it doesn't matter for sponsorship, apparently. Just putting that out there. So with the way the seating is, I don't know. We can talk about it. I don't think it's worth talking about. I do want to get, though... I don't think it's worth going in depth about, because I think people are going to get drones of that. Oh, look, Reddick has 40, or Kyle Larson has 40 points. He pretty much has a full race on the cutoff line. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Don't think we need to go about doing that. But the one thing I do want to know, who are your first 4 out? And then who do you have as your final 4 going into the round of 16?
Ooh, okay.
So, I can start.
Okay, go ahead.
My first 4 out are Harrison Burton, Austin Cindric, Joey Logano, and Martin Truex Jr.
Problem with that,
Logano's
Harrison Burton's going to win at Atlanta, so that one's already
choice.
wrong.
So when I look at my drivers who I think are going to get eliminated, sorry, Matt.
No, you're fine.
We keep stumbling over each other. I apologize. I kind of look at everyone below Chase Elliott, because Chase Elliott's the first guy that kind of has a little bit of a bump in the points, a few extra playoff points. And I'm looking at that, and immediately Harrison Burton, obviously. Martin Truex Jr. has no momentum. I got those 2. Austin Cindric, Daniel Suarez are my 4.
Yeah, with Truex, I could see them getting it together, but I don't know. I mean, especially with it being Truex's last year, there's probably going to be a big push to get them deep in the playoffs.
They definitely have what it takes. They haven't been able to execute.
Yeah, Harrison Burton, obvious one. I think Suarez is the other one. Maybe Trackhouse shifts their focus more to him, but I just don't think that they are... I mean, they're 18th in points for a reason, and obviously they're still trying to get Ross in victory lane. They have Busch, who's a huge sponsor, and they don't want to go winless. Oh god, who else would I pick? I guess Truex by default, just because, momentum is a real thing. And honestly, probably Cindric as well. Those seem like the 4 obvious ones. Briscoe's hot right now. Ty Gibbs is on a streak as well. So I think those 2 guys are going to get up out of there. I mean, I'm trying to think of who else. I mean, Bowman's right on the cut line too. You never know. So with how his last 2 playoff trips have gone. So, yeah.
All right, and then your final 4 picks. Mine.
Wow.
Mine. Right now, as we go into the playoffs, and we'll redo these every round. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Mine are Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson. Drum roll, please. 'Cause I'm trying to think of who I want to put in here. Chase Elliott.
I'm gonna go ahead and stick Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell in my final four. Jeez. Denny Hamlin. Tyler Reddick.
I think that's the same one I'm going to do. I'm going top 3 in points: Larson, Bell, Reddick, and Hamlin. Because I was scrolling through 4th on down. I was like, Byron I could see missing, Blaney I could see missing. Oh, Hamlin's down at 6th. Yeah, he's probably going to be there. So, yeah.
Actually, I want to put Reddick in there instead of Chase. So
That's a call. That's a good call.
if I can have Bell, Blaney, Larson, and Reddick, I'll take those 4. Okay. Bell dominated the Xfinity race. Creed was winning, but then a caution came out late. Sheldon Creed will never win a race. All right, moving on.
I want to die. Yeah, that's about all I have to say.
The Sheldon Creed agenda just kind of gets sadder.
Yeah, like this one, like there's been so many times where you'll be like, yeah, like Daytona.
This one was on his crew too, right?
Yeah, like Daytona, you could be like, okay, I guess he mistimed that move or he didn't do it as cleanly and that's why he loses. And Martinsville was a whole goddamn mess. And like the last time we were at Darlington and he was leading going into turn 3 on the last lap, you're like, oh man, how's that going to go? This one is just like, this guy has to be cursed at this rate. Like, there's no other way that you can interpret that. Like, just absurd.
I'm telling you, man, his truck lifer career is going to go really hard.
that is God himself chiming in. So.
Oh,
yeah.
man. I want to
also
since it's been a while. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say big shout out to Bell and Custer not dying on the last lap.
Oh my God,
really
that
bad.
was unbelievable. Like, there's like really good pictures of like the moment where it's happening, and it's like, yeah, those guys both like nothing changed. Like,
yeah,
those guys finished 1-2. By the way, what the hell? Yeah, revisiting. Do we think Sheldon Creed actually wins a race this season?
Oh, he's got to.
I think he's
on his Daniel
like,
Hemrick arc. He's winning Phoenix.
It's one of those. Yeah, and it's one of those things where like. Actually, well, I don't even actually know at this rate. I don't even know if I can say that because I've said the same thing before. It's just like if you keep getting so close, it has to pay off eventually, right? But
you would think.
Sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, and this is a case where like I was saying, like you can't say that Sheldon Creed did anything wrong and still it didn't work out for him. Like he did everything right. It's just ridiculous. So.
I just get a small kick out of it is all. It's unbelievable.
All right, let's go ahead.
What? We're gonna take it from somewhere, aren't we?
Yep, we are. We're gonna go from the shop.
Yeah, baby.
There it is.
Love that.
There it is. 2025 schedules were released for the NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, and Truck Series, respectively. Some big things. We talked about Mexico City last week. Rockingham will be on the Truck and Xfinity schedules for Easter weekend, Friday, Saturday show. Bunch of
Cup
dates.
is off that weekend, notably.
Cup is off that weekend. That is their only off weekend. 28 straight weeks to end the year. Have fun.
Jesus.
And Chicago Street Course is back. You have likely to move dates.
Sorry, we were speaking when I was writing down the show sheet. Likely to move cities.
Yes.
After next year.
Multiple cities are in conversations with NASCAR to hold the street race. San Diego is a notable one, as there are no SoCal dates next season. Mm-hmm. Trucks will be at Lime Rock as well. Trucks go back to Michigan. Trucks are at New Hampshire. I don't think Xfinity's at New Hampshire next year.
Several W's.
We had talked about the playoff races. Those had already kind of been leaked. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. Favorite thing from the schedule change? I like that Michigan's back in June, but that's selfish of me.
I mean, I like that we're going to Mexico. I like Chicago's back. Rockingham will probably be a cool race. I just hate driving it, so I like to have like fake beef with it. But I'm excited to see Rockingham back on the Xfinity and truck schedules.
Yeah, I'm same. We kind of already talked about a lot of the schedule stuff for Cup, obviously, but
Right.
trucks at
Thoughts
Lime
on
Rock
Sonoma
is
in July?
huge. Terrible idea. I already said it. I will not be going. Put it on the West Coast swing in March.
The in-season tournament schedule is Atlanta, Chicago Street Course, Sonoma, Dover, Indianapolis. You want to talk about
gonna kill
way
this good idea
to tank
with
the idea.
horrible tracks, dude.
Um,
It's such a good idea, and we're just gonna
Probably
go like to the
probably should have swapped Sonoma for like Nashville or something.
dude.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Or if
That's
you
just-
if you're gonna do back-to-back road courses, maybe you should have done like Mexico City, Sonoma back-to-back or something.
It's just a bummer, man. We're gonna kill the cool idea because it's gonna be booty butt tracks.
Atlanta
Indy's
being the
gonna be
first track is a
horrible.
good idea though.
Atlanta being
Yeah.
first is good. Having a road course, good. Having 2 road courses,
Back-to-back.
ending at Indy.
But it's Indy. It's big.
Yeah, it's a
big deal.
Yep, it's a cool track. Sure is.
Big
The
deal.
racing. They definitely go around the track there, and they're in positions, and they certainly run a number of laps. That's
Other
what they do.
I think other things. Darlington is not Mother's Day weekend, so that's
Hmm.
I believe North Wilkesboro is Mother's Day weekend.
Yeah, and then Darlington
All-Star.
2 for Xfinity no longer exists, which is kind of a bummer for me.
Oh wait, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Or one of I don't I don't know if it's Xfinity lost a Darlington date
Yeah.
anyway.
okay,
I don't know if it's the second one or the first one, but
okay.
they definitely did lose a Darlington date. Here, I can look. I have the schedule right here. Oh, nope, that's the team chart. I have the schedule right here. Darlington, where's Darlington? Yeah, they lost the second date. Boo.
So they don't have a combo weekend for the Southern 500.
What's Trucks doing? I kind of doubt that they have.
Just Cup
That-
there.
Yeah,
Kind of crazy.
that would be kind of crazy. I'm not rocking with that. Oh, J-Ski doesn't have the 2025 truck schedule on it.
Oh,
Bastards.
oh there's
I need
26 truck races this upcoming year. That's the most they've
Most they've
ever had.
ever had. Thank you for that stat, Joe. I just copied it from you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Christian Eckes is going to go full-time Xfinity racing next year for Colleague. So Colleague Racing's lineup will be Christian Eckes, Daniel Dye, and Josh Williams.
What is?
What a group.
Where's Chandler Smith going? Wasn't he rumored to be going back there?
Who knows? Maybe Cup. I don't know.
So weird.
Dude's already got like
I
a
think-
wife and kids. It's crazy. He's like
Yeah, he's gonna retire.
he's younger than me. This
I think
sucks.
that's a good get for Colleague because Christian Eckes has a ton of talent.
Yeah.
Christian Eckes, I hope you know what you're signing up for.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. You're signing up to be teammates with Daniel Dye, who at least has been improving, and Josh Williams, who has been in the car.
He's driving.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm glad they're giving Josh Williams another season because this year has been a disaster, and I think he can do better than what he's done. But
Agreed.
we'll see.
maybe.
It's been bad.
Well,
It's
I mean,
been
that's kind of
really
something
bad.
that drivers who get put into a better seat always struggle with is they don't know what good feels like, and so they don't
Yeah.
know what to ask for. He has all the resources. He has no like base point on what good feels like or what to ask for or that he even can ask for those things. You know, it's like something that rookies struggle a lot with, and it's kind of the same thing when you've driven nothing but pretty low level equipment for a long time and you get put in something good. You know, we even saw Ross Chastain, who did a lot with very little and then took a while to actually get hot in good stuff.
Yeah.
So could be. I mean, Josh Williams is a cool guy, so I hope that works out. But man, if it doesn't, what a lineup.
Yep. So
Mentioned Mexico City for NASCAR. Mark Miles was asked about why IndyCar isn't at Mexico City, and said some pretty crazy things about Pato O'Ward, who is one of the superstars of the sport.
I'll paraphrase for you. He said, basically, Pato O'Ward, he's starting to get a little famous. He's starting to get some fans. He's on a couple of billboards. If you don't know, Pato O'Ward is so famous that like when they're at a track with a lot of Mexican fans, they've had to use like team intercom to communicate because the fans are cheering so loud. When he visited the Mexican Grand Prix, he was mobbed more than like almost any Formula One driver. He's pretty famous. He's not just on a couple of billboards. He's a big deal. And the CEO of IndyCar was just like, he's all right. People know about him, I guess.
I was at Pato's first IndyCar race. I had never heard of him before then, and it was not a big crowd at Sonoma, and people were losing it for him. Like,
I bet.
I was like, I guess this guy's going to be a big deal, and he had a great run that day, and sure enough, Pato O'Ward is an absolute superstar.
Shout
so yeah,
out
the
to him
stuff...
for wearing the sombrero in the media center after the race Saturday.
Yeah, for
won.
Mark Miles to say that stuff, like, it's just so detached from reality, and like it goes back to what we talk about, where you have these guys who could be superstars, and instead of putting them up on a pedestal, you're chopping them down for not being big enough.
Well, no,
I don't
the problem
understand
is they
it.
don't want them to be bigger than the sport, right? Like,
Ugh. God.
Stupid. I mean, that's
I
kind of like a thing. That's like something you have to accept if you want to grow the sport.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
Dale
it's
Jr.
just
was
delusion.
Dale Jr. was great for the sport, but when he left, it was awful for the sport.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And NASCAR, the NASCAR accounts putting out tweets like, "Who wants to see Pato O'Ward run the NASCAR Mexico race?"
Right.
Like while this is happening.
He already said
Unreal.
he's interested in running NASCAR for that race too.
Yeah.
He wants
There's
to.
an IndyCar
And,
race
like,
that weekend.
He was making fun of Mark Miles in his post race press conference because he won this weekend.
Maybe I'm big enough now.
Being the superstar. Yeah, and he was like, Pato who? So
He also,
just
if you haven't seen, he also put a tweet because they were in Milwaukee, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Too many flat ovals. They were in Milwaukee, and he took a picture of a billboard because billboards were directly mentioned, and it was like a billboard for like the NASCAR stuff that was there, and there was no mention of IndyCar. He was like, "Hey, you want to look who's not on this billboard?" And I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a troll account. Like I couldn't believe someone would actually tweet that. That's a driver for the series.
I wonder if the Truck Series drew more fans than the IndyCar race.
it was pretty
Not,
packed.
Like
right?
just for
It was
Sunday.
the IndyCar race was pretty packed
Surely
because
not.
For
Like,
s-
surely
they showed a
IndyCar.
comparison of what year was it they started coming back here? I think 2019 compared to whatever year it was. Like
Last
whatever
time they were
last
there,
time
it was
they were.
like 2014 or something.
Yeah, well, they showed
Yeah,
a comparison of like the last time they were there to this year, and it is a draft. Like they almost sold the place out. It was a huge crowd this week.
That's good. Good for
Yeah.
IndyCar.
That was good. Not like it was of their own doing, but
So
Despite what they
good job,
do.
IndyCar.
they will have good racing and crowds to spite.
That's
them.
right. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our bottom split moments of the week.
Joe, you go first.
My what's my bottom split moment of the week? My bottom split moment of the week is my power went out last Tuesday, and it was out for like 2 days,
Oof.
and I still haven't caught up on sleep, so I have no energy right now. Bottom split moment of the week: power going out in the middle of a heat wave, and it was humid, so it wasn't dry heat.
Was it like a storm?
Yeah,
Knocked power?
yeah.
Oh, okay,
Really bad
gotcha.
storms, and our area supposedly got hit the worst. So
Oh,
yeah,
bummer.
couldn't broadcast the Maverick race.
Oh no!
I was getting reminded every 15 minutes, "Hey, is your power back on?" So that was cool.
Oh man, You couldn't?
No.
Oh. Dang.
Matt, what was your bottom split moment of the week? Because I don't want to go to Davey.
So, my bottom slip moment of the week, on Friday, I went to a Sacramento River Cats game, which was a good time,
Meow, meow.
except the River Cats are what we in the industry would refer to as some damn butt. So they had a hit in the first inning, and then they didn't have another until the seventh.
Those are the baseball team.
Yeah. Going into the eighth inning, or going into the bottom of the eighth, they were down 5-0, and then the Las Vegas Aviators pitcher their entire pitching rotation collapsed, and they scored 5 unanswered runs in the bottom of the eighth to tie it up going to the ninth. And it was like, oh baby, here we go. Crowd's going nuts. First Aviators batter comes up for the top of the ninth, gets struck out. And I also want to point out the pitcher threw 2 balls and then 3 straight strikes, and I was like, okay, dug himself out of that hole. Very next one, same thing, 2-0 start. Guy rips it to right field, gets him out. We're at 2 outs. All right, here we go. And then they load they put 2 on, and then the next guy hits a home run and scores 3 runs, and then they give up a 4th run, and they go into the final inning down 9-5.
Oh
So
goodness.
they scored 5 unanswered runs and had them down to their last out, and then completely blew it. So good job, River Cats, and they lost.
That's River
So-
Cats
and then they
baseball.
fired off a bunch of fireworks,
Yeah.
even though they lost. So
Hell yeah. But you got to see fireworks. That's cool.
yeah.
The Tigers
a fun
do that
time,
on
but-
Friday nights. They always... That's
Yeah,
one
I
of
think
their
that-
marketing
I-
things.
I think that was the same thing. Like, it was a Friday night. There's going to be fireworks, even if we lose
Yep. Come see
terribly.
the fireworks, because you're not coming for the baseball game.
Yeah. So
We
it was a
suck.
good time, but the team let me down. So great job, guys. Davey, how about you?
Man, I just had a horrible weekend of sim racing.
Oh, boo-hoo.
Joe, Joe, you know what I was saying with the Maverick thing. Man, it's just it was a bad time.
Wham, wham, wham.
Bad time. Joe, I'm on your side with that. I don't understand.
He's crying.
My new bottom split moment is Joe Tawansky not picking up on anything that I
Heckling
say
me.
ever.
Wham, wham, wham. I couldn't
Yeah.
drive my virtual race cars. Davey, what happened in the USRL Cup Series race?
I got a friggin' massive speeding penalty. I got to stop and hold for 40 seconds. First of all, I don't know where I sped. Maybe there's a line that I didn't know was the actual line that's like for speeding or so, like the end of pit road or something. That must be it. But I got like a 40-second speeding penalty, and I was so mad that I like held escape to get off the track, and that tows your car. And I was like, okay, it's Martinsville. We didn't get a good turnout. I'm just gonna get back on track so there's a car on track. I go back in. Not only do I have to now wait for the tow, my penalty got jumped to 55 seconds for some reason. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. I'll just run the race out. Darren gets into the wall in front of me. We have a green flag run to the end, and Darren gets into the wall in front of me and is yelling at me because he's like stopped in the track and I hit him and caused a yellow, and was horrible. And then after that, I was like, oh, Sunday morning, let me palate cleanse. Did be fixed. Got wrecked with 3 to go and got a meatball, and there's just no point in finishing because it's a meatball and it's like come to the white flag going down pit road, like there's just no point. And then I was like, okay, palate cleanse, Formula 4, VIR, sounds good. Don't qualify very well, but that's okay. I race better and dodge 3 wrecks, get caught up in the 4th one on lap 2. I turn off iRacing, I move my setup back over, take all the rig down, and then I just did not sim race again, and it was painful.
I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Yep. I've had those stretches before.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of one of them, man. It's a bummer. But hey, racing's fun.
Yeah.
Speaking of fun, what was your Road to Pro moment of the weekend?
My Road to Pro moment was got to see Fam Jam this weekend. Love when I get to see some Fam Jam. It's good.
Hell yeah.
Just nice to see Fam Jam now that I don't live as close, you know? It's always good.
Matthew?
My Road to Pro moment, it started out as a bottom split moment and then became a Road to Pro moment. I went and saw Creed yesterday.
Hell yeah.
That was
I
unbelievable.
I can't remember if I told the saga of how that happened, but my old roommate basically texted me like, I'm getting you a ticket, but didn't tell me what to. And I found out I was going to Creed like a month ago.
That is
and then
unreal.
on the way to the show yesterday, I found out that Finger 11 and Three Doors Down were the openers, and I was like, okay. Didn't
Wild.
care enough about Finger 11 to get to the stands in time. I'm sure they were fine. I don't care. Three Doors Down, they are a band. They also sounded fine, but the entire time I was like, oh wow, I know way more Three Doors Down songs than I thought I did. I mean, I'm not going to listen to them, but I know these. And then Creed came on, and I had a terrible realization, which is, Creed has like 4 or 5 like butt rock classics that are like, they're like super anthemic and over the top, and because of that, they loop around from being like funny to like actually kind of awesome.
Right.
And the problem is 4 songs is not enough to make up a headlining set list, because before that they had to play about 8 or 9, and it was about 5 songs in that I realized, oh god, I just remembered I don't like Creed. Because I'm not exaggerating, for the first hour and 15 minutes they did not play a single song that I knew. And if you like, if you are a person like me who semi-ironically appreciates like Higher or With Arms Wide Open, go listen to some deep cuts, because there's a reason why all those songs got forgotten to time, because they're all just the same like mid-tempo, sludgy, boring divorced dad rock, and they're all 6 minutes long, and they don't change, and they have a really boring guitar solo, and I was feeling it. I was like, this sucks, dude. We need to get this over with. But they closed really strong, because the 4-song run of With Arms Wide Open, Higher, and then the encore of One Last Breath and My Sacrifice, biblical experience. Just like arms around my friends, screaming the lyrics to My Sacrifice. It was a great experience. So, and I'm glad they ended that high, because if they would have sprinkled those 4 songs in through the hour, it would have been a lot of up and down, and I would not have enjoyed it as much. So, it was a good time.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Joe, how about you?
that's awesome.
My road to pro moment. I now have 2 TVs in my living room, so I sat on the
Yeah.
couch for 12 hours on Saturday and just watched college football all day. So
Get a life.
jeez.
I'm trying, but don't have it yet. So
Well, hey,
Oh,
maybe if you want to get a life, you know what you can do. You can go ahead and start broadcasting more Maverick. Since that's what we want to do.
folks, can't thank you enough for listening to
Right?
the Fake Racers podcast this week. Make sure if you haven't already, leave a like on the video, subscribe, comment, say hello, like the podcast, give us a 5-star review, turn on automatic downloads. That does help. We're live over on JTN this week with our friends over at Hobo Racing for their modified series race. So tune in for that one. Should be a fun time. Nothing going on next week. I will not be on the show next week. I am on a business trip. So Matthew and Davey will hold down the fort. Maybe with guest, maybe without guest. Who knows?
We'll see. We'll see. Leaving
Yeah.
our options open.
What you boyos got going on?
Well, obviously, as always, I would like to stream. So please, if you want to see me stream sometime soon, in the next like month, please just go to D7H5 or on Twitch, find me, follow. It's like on my list of things that I want to do before the end of the year is stream more, because I'm doing more officials on iRacing now. It would make sense. And this week, if you would like to tune in to some track and turf truck series racing, Thursday night we are at Chicagoland on some tracks broadcasting. Once again, if you have the time, once you're done watching all of your JTN content, come check us out there. Saturday, the USRL Cup Series goes to Talladega, and it's going to be a great race. We always have great super speedway races, so make sure to tune in. Simtrax Broadcasting again. They do a great job, and I think that's it for me. Matt, what's up, man?
I may or may not be going to the Frogtown Classic again.
Let's go.
Last year it was the throwback BMX race, and my brother and I won the side hack race, which was cool. I may be racing my dad's old bike from the 80s. Don't know if our plans are going to go through, though, because I think my brother can't make it. So it might just be me and my parents and my nephew. My nephew also might be racing my old race bike from when I was like 12. So if that doesn't happen, then I don't know what I have planned. So, but like last year, like Jeremy McGrath and Bob Harrow and Eddie Fiolo were all there, which are legends of cycling. So it'd be cool to go again, but we'll see.
Cool. Hell yeah. Dudes rock.
Yeah, hell yeah.
All right, folks. Well, again, thank you so much for watching, for listening. We hope you join us next week as we talk about the first race of the round of 16 in the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. And yeah, hit like, subscribe, do all those things, and we hope to see you guys next time on the Fake Racers podcast.
Goodbye.